Hello, everybody. We're just getting started here with the broadcast. Hello, everybody. It's Bill Gilliland here, and we're going to get started today. I am going to drop off of my video here, but welcome to the call, and we will jump right into the 6 secrets to grow a better business now. So let's jump in and get started. So to get started, just need to know if it's okay if we coach you for the next 60 to 75 minutes or so, and then hopefully, we may have some time for some questions at the end. I'd love to have a chat with you about that. Yeah, so that'll be good, and we'll love to see that. So if that's okay with everybody, just make sure I can hear you or whatever. Just type something in either the chat or the Q&A so I could hear you. And I'll give you a sec for that to show up. But otherwise, I'm going to see what's going on here, and then we're going to go get started. So just say yes, give me a thumbs up, something along the way. There's some things you can do. Good. Good thing. All right, cool. All right, seems like everybody can hear me. So let's jump in. So listen, today I want to give you, you're going to invest your time over lunch, so welcome, and I hope you've got something to eat there. I've already had my lunch, but I hope you will. Listen, we're going to give you the simplest, easiest ways to increase your sales and profits, to free up your time, and to create an amazing team. So now, this is an interesting time to be doing all of these things, but I think now, with things opening back up, that it's important that we focus on increasing our sales and profits, that we get back to normal business, that we look at how now, is it ever going to be the same? No, it's not going to be the same, but but it's time to start focusing on how we're going to grow. Now, we do know that businesses are in about 1 of 3 places right now. Some businesses are doing really, really well as a result of this. Cleaning businesses, I've got a chemical business that's doing really well in this. Other businesses are okay, or maybe down a little bit, and that's okay. So I've got businesses in that thing, and then I've got other businesses that are basically closed. I've got a travel business that right now we're probably going to be able to travel. We're starting back in we're looking at July. So or actually the end of June, which is kind of cool. We feel like we're going to be able to take a small group trip then. So we're pretty excited about that. So today we're going to talk about the open up, the restart, and how to take advantage of it, where the opportunities are, and to move on. Now, I'm not here to talk about the medical side of this. I am here to tell you that the safety precautions, it's going to be assumed, and I'm going to assume that you're doing everything you can to safeguard your employees and to safeguard your customers and through this. And now this is going to be, the team part of this is going to be interesting, because we're going to talk a bit about the mindset that we have to have now. It's very different than what we had even 6 weeks ago. So this thing has changed every week. So we're going to talk about that. We'll look forward to it. Listen, you're going to learn the right ways to systematically grow your business. You're going to learn how small adjustments can equal big results. We're going to show you, how to sell through this thing, and that it's okay to sell. Hopefully we'll give you some ideas to save you time, energy, and money. How we're going to get new and repeat buyers to magnetically come back to us. Understanding what the number one mistake that everyone's making when building their team right now is. And then we're going to move on from there. So what do you need to know about me? Well, not much really, but I've been doing this almost 15 years now. I've owned a number of businesses along the way. The main thing you need to know about me is you know, I work with all businesses across all spectrums. I am in the business of business ownership. And so, we develop other business owners. The main thing you need to know is that I'm happily married. I've got two more or less grown boys, and I enjoy getting outdoors and studying and reading about business and some other topics like theology, that sort of thing. So, but it's not about me, it's about you. So let's learn a little bit about the right brain, the left brain. Let's learn a little bit about learning. So most of you know the left brain, right brain thing. So what is in the left brain? Well, it's the numbers, it's the math, it's the words, it's the logic, it's the process, it's the details. Okay. So the right brain is obviously the art, music, creativity, feelings, a big picture. And we have to use both sides of our brain. So we want to connect the two sides of our brain. If we're going to be truly in business, we're going to be truly solve big problems, then we're going to want to be using both sides of our brain. So what happens when we attempt to do that quickly? Today, I'm going to give you a bunch of information. I'm going to fire hose you. It's going to feel like a fire hose to you. And what's going to happen is you're going to maybe feel some confusion, and that's okay. How many of you have ever had a let's say a high school, when you're in high school, let's go back to that. Let's say you had a physics or a math problem and you were up late and you were trying to do your homework and you just couldn't do it. It just didn't work out. Well, what do? Well, you usually just say, I'll go to bed, I'll do it in the morning. And what happens? The brain overnight works it out. Yeah, you got it right. In the morning, the brain, usually it's pretty easy to do that problem because the brain will work things out. So what I'm going to tell you is a lot of the stuff we're going to go over today is going to create some confusion. But 2 days from now, a week from now, 2 weeks from now, something's going to pop in your head and you're going to be, oh, I get it now. So it's okay. It's okay to be a little confused. Let the brain work it out. Let the brain work together. We're going to bring both sides of the brain together to do it. So we want to use the left and the right side of the brain. So a couple of concepts in business and in life that we've got to go over. This is called the point of power. Now, we all know people that's never their fault, right? They live in blame. And what is their statement? They make excuses. And sometimes they're even in denial. Some people have denied that there's even a problem here. Well, it doesn't matter whether you believe there's a problem or not. All that we have to know is that the markets were affected. Remember, I'm not talking about the medical side of this thing. I'm talking about the economic side of this thing. Okay? Denial. There are people that deny they have a problem. Well, I can tell you, if some stores weren't open, that's a problem. Okay? If you want to buy something there, all right, some places are not open. Listen, whatever we do is always going to, we're getting guidelines now about what, how to open for various industries. I just got a 60-page thing on every industry, recommendations of what to do and how to do it. Okay, but here's the big thing. So that's called the below the point, blame, excuse, deny. Now, above the point, we have responsibility, accountability, ownership. Now, let's take a look at those words. I'm going to give it to you right now. Point one is we got to move out of blame, excuse, deny, and get up into responsibility, accountability, and ownership. I think most people have made this shift, said, hey, this is a reality. Let's get on it. But if you're still making excuses and still worried on the government and PPP loans and all this, look, look, all my clients pretty much that wanted them have gotten the PPP loans. A lot of them are getting the other loans. We're pretty happy with the way we were able to get through that before most people got through that because we were on top of it. Listen, but we got to get out of that. We got to start taking responsibility, accountability, ownership. Now let's look at these words. Able to respond. That's where responsibility comes from. Able to respond. How are you going to respond to the current situation today? We're reopening. Are you ready? What kind of a plan do you have right now? Because if you did a plan 6 weeks ago, you need to update it. All right. And that's something that we're doing a lot with our clients. If you'd like to chat with me, that's fine. Reach out to me. We'll be happy to work with you through your plan. Okay. But able to be held to account. Who are we held accountable to? Well, we're held accountable to ourselves. We're held accountable to our employees. We're held accountable to our customers. We're held accountable to our families. We're held accountable to We're just accountable. We got to be able to account. Ownership, own ship. It's your own ship. You can go left, you can go right, you can put up a sail, you can take down the sail, you can buy a motor, you can buy a whole different ship. It's up to you where you're going to go. So let's look at this. So so today, if you go below the point, you're going to be powerless. Okay. What you get down there, what's a fancy word for excuses? I mean, I've heard all kinds of things, but yeah, if you just want to type in somewhere, that'd be cool. As I call out these questions, that would be awesome. Look, what are you going to get? You're going to get, what's a good, so the other word that I hear is reasons. Okay. By the way, I had this chart or similar one, previous one on my refrigerator when the boys were little, and they hated it. Okay. They would they'd say something and I'd say, well, that's just that's below the point. And they'd say, well, stop with the coaching, Dad. And I would say, well, look, I mean, so they got the message. It just took them a little while. All right. But so you get reasons down here. Up at the top, you get results. Down here is the victim. Okay. Who's the victim? Up here, we get the victor. All right. So listen, this is the only way. So the first step in any of this is moving out of here, excuse and blame, up to accountability and responsibility. We've got to take responsibility for our own actions. We got to move forward. We got to take responsibility for the safety and the welfare of our employees, and then we got to get them to take responsibility for the safety and the welfare of our clients. I'm assuming you're doing all that stuff. We're going to talk about growing businesses now. Okay. Now, a codicil of that is the only failure is the failure to participate. You got to give 100% to get 100%. If it's all right with all y'all, we're going to, is that not all right with anybody? Is that okay with everybody that we play full out? I'm going to give you full out 100% for the next hour or so. And I would expect that you would be in there. And how are you going to do that? Well, I'm going to expect you to take notes. I'm going to expect you to use colors. I'm going to expect you to call out to yourself in the room. I'm going to expect you to remember this stuff. Okay. The best way you're going to remember it. I'm also going to ask you, is it okay if we stay below the point for the next hour or so? Awesome. Okay, good. All right, listen. So we're going to play full out. I mean, you guys all know teams where one of the players wasn't there mentally. They might have been there physically, but they weren't mentally. They weren't participating at 100%. Or if we don't do much driving these days, but if you were driving to the store, maybe you weren't participating because you were listening to the radio. Okay. Now, if I said, let's go down and do the Richard Petty experience in Charlotte when they opened it back up, I guarantee you'd be participating in that driving experience 100%. But you wouldn't. Now, it doesn't mean you're not a safe driver, because we can do some things. We can drive because we're what we call unconscious competent. We don't have to think about it to drive well. We're still paying attention, and we can listen to the radio or something like that. Okay. But if it comes to two things we have to do where you have to focus, then you'll be in trouble. Okay. Like texting. All right. How many of you have teenagers? Everybody been a teenager? Of course you have. So what are their statement? Their statement is, they're pretty smart, right? I know. Now, what happens when we say, I know? Of course. Of course. The same thing happens when we go below the point. We get nothing. So I know. So is it okay if we limit the I know? Well, what do you do with the words? Well, we need something to replace them with. Well, I like that's interesting, or isn't that interesting? So if somebody comes to you, we all know in corporate, maybe some of you have been in corporate, you take an idea to somebody and they say, well, we tried that 3 years ago and it didn't work. And how did you feel? Well, you felt put down. Were you going to ever bring them any more ideas? Think if you're doing that to any of your team. Right now, we need all the ideas we can get. So let's eliminate the I know and just go with, isn't that interesting? All right, we're going to have some fun. All right, we should have fun. Business is fun. This is fun. This is a great time to be in business. Some of my greatest, I'll show you a video in a little while. some of the greatest things happened out of the back of the recession in 2008, 2009. Some of the greatest growth stories that there were. Some of my best clients ever have come out of that over time. So this is a fun time. This is the time to look for opportunities. This is the time to not be thinking about it. We're, survival. This is the time to be thinking about thriving. Okay, let's think about this and let's move forward. So you're also going to get something called BFOs. Yeah, I promise it's not dirty. It's called blinding flashes of the obvious. So business is not rocket science. We have good ideas, So what do you do when you get a blinding flash of the obvious? Well, I'll make some suggestions. Or you can just type them in the chat box or the Q&A, either one. But one of the things you should do is write it down. How many of you have ever gotten a idea at 3 a.m. and couldn't remember it at 6 when you woke up, or 7? Yes, that's because you were, that's because you didn't write it down. Your brain didn't, you need to write it down so you can remember it. Now, what else should you do? I say share it with somebody who's not going to cut you off the knees and say, that's going to be an I know person that's going to say, all right, we tried that 3 years ago. No, we want to, maybe there's a different reason to try it again now. Maybe it's like the best example of this I have is I was working with a group of insurance salespeople. We met about once a month, and I was talking to a fellow who was about 3 years from retirement. He'd been in the business for a while. And we're talking about BFOs, and he said, Bill, I used to have the 3-foot rule. I said, well, what's the 3-foot? Well, right now you can have the 6-foot rule, but back in the day, okay, he had the 3-foot rule. Basically what it meant is that anybody he got within 3 feet of, he'd introduce himself. He'd say, hi, and you can do that, the 6-foot rule now. We'll just call it the 6-foot rule. He would say, hi, I'm Bill. You may not be needing insurance right now, but when you do, I'd love to have it. And he would give them a business card. Okay. And so I said, well, why did you stop? And he said, well, I don't have any cards. We didn't print any more cards. I'm like, well, why not? He says, I don't know. I said, so the blinding flash is obvious. Let's get some cards and let's start trying it out. I said, well, let's give it a try for the next 3 or 4 weeks. So we got back. I said, how did you go with the 3-foot rule? And he said, Bill, I got the cards printed and I wrote 2 pieces of business in the last 2 weeks just by using that rule. So there it is, a blinding flash of the obvious. That's an example. It's the V8 moment. Aha, I could have had a V8. Now, what's your BFO? So you want to be ready to write down all your BFOs today. All right, here's the rules. Listen, turn on your phones. I don't care. Let the world know you're doing this. Take a picture of your screen and send it out. Let them know that you're participating, that you're learning, that you're getting better, that you're doing everything you can for this. This is the kind of stuff I can do to help out with this situation. What are you doing? Let the world know that your business is getting better. Obviously, we're not going to call out answers on the webinar, but you can raise your hand if you can type something in the Q&A. Let me know you're out there. If you can write it down, that's great, or use colors, that's all right. But we're not. All right. So I've helped a lot of people find some clarity along the way, and this is from John Truitt. Now he's looking at his future. He's envisioned. We've got some clarity. It was pretty unclear where he wanted to go and where he wanted to go. So he says, I moved out of the fog and into the sunlight. So we like that. John's still doing well out there. So it's awesome. Thanks, John. So here's the question for you. Is you're driving your business or is it driving you? That's up to you. Is your business driving you? Now, a lot of people have been very reactive in this COVID situation. Great. Now it's time to flip it back and get in charge of your business. Okay. Sometimes you have to go into reactive mode, but we want to move from reactive, tactical to strategic, proactive. And that's what we're going to talk about, how to do that today. So here's sort of the path that's happened. All right, about March, we realized, hey, we got a problem here, and everything took a dive. All right, and then in April, May, we're kind of surviving. Now we're getting closer to June, and the choice is yours. We're right here. We are right amongst it, and we've got to decide which path we're going to take. If you do nothing, okay, you're going to be in trouble. If you take okay action, or maybe just go back to the way you used to do things. Maybe you'll be all right, depending on the industry. It's going to be tough. But if you want to do it, we need to drive. We need to drive hard to get over there to thrive, so that our business is tracking up. So just understand where we are. We are right at the turning point. And this is why this is so critical to take this information now and begin to drive forward. All right. The fact is, most people in business only ever have a job, and a job stands for just over broke. And the number one reason for business failure is burnout. It's not lack of cash. It's not capital. It's not the things. The number one reason that business in the small and medium businesses is flat out burnout. Okay. We just get tired. We're working out there, slogging away hard as we can, and we just get burned out. And the main reason we get burned out is because we don't understand where we're going. Okay. I was there. I should tell you my story. I started a business after I'd run a couple of successful businesses for other people. Thought it was going to be the same. Well, it's just not. I mean, I'm in there working 70, 80 out. Now, you do need to work hard. I'm not saying that, but I was working long hours, sometimes not getting the results, because I didn't really have a plan of where I wanted to go. I didn't have this. The definition of a business is a commercial enterprise that's profitable. Some people missed on that, and I did for a long time. That works. It's because the reason we want the business to work is so that you don't have to 24/7 without the owner. A commercial profit enterprise that works without you. Now, if you don't want to go all the way up this ladder and get there, that's okay. But at least the path is the same. You should know that it's possible. You should know that you can have a commercial profitable enterprise. You just need the formula. You just need to know the steps. And that's what we're here to talk about, like how to build that. So let's talk about what the 6 steps are. 6 steps. The first step is mastery. And we'll get into what mastery is. But basically, it's the foundation for your business. It is. You wouldn't build a house without a foundation. Shouldn't we build a business without a foundation? Of course not. We need to have a business foundation. We want to eliminate chaos, when gained from stability. And there's 4 areas of mastery. I'll get into that. Now, niche, I'm going to go into what that is, but niche is about, we'll get into that a little bit later, but it's about creating predictable cash flow. So this is commercial enterprise. This is profitable. Now we want to get it to work, the business to work, which is leverage. This is all about systems and gaining efficiency. Niche gives us some cash so we can buy systems to gain efficiencies. And then with leverage, we get time. And then we build a great team. We structure for growth. Now there's 2 more steps. This is where we get on a general manager. We get somebody to run the business for us. And then we start tuning it up. We start fixing the model. And the definition of synergy is basically it gets easier as we grow. Okay. And we create a well-oiled machine, which gives us the results, passive income, sell the business, which generally is more time or more money to reinvest. Okay. In other businesses and real estate to create wealth. In other words, most people's business should be the vehicle to create wealth. Now, how do we do this? Well, we've got a system called the 5 ways, which we'll get into in a little while. And then we'll also talk about the 4 ways of systemization. Okay. People in education systems, technology, delivery and distribution, accounting, testing, and measuring. Just understand that there is a set path to grow any business. And most people just don't understand what the set path is. So I'm going to teach you the set path today. All right, let's get into mastery. Okay. That's a commercial enterprise. That's what we're after here. Okay. The cost of chaos is not just the money. It is the relational, the mental, the family, the pure physical health. So let's talk about how to move to control, where we have key metrics in place, where we understand where the money comes, where we get control of our lives. So let's talk about it. We've got destination mastery. Where are you taking this? What is your vision for the business? Remember, John, that's what I helped him do, figure out where he wanted to go with his life and his business. All right. You got money mastery. All right. We're going to get into that deeply. That's where we're starting to look at KPIs and metrics and things like that. Time mastery. How do we get, or really self mastery? How do we get control of our time? How do we help our people find control of their time? And then delivery mastery. What is our ability to deliver consistently the same way, whether you do it or somebody else in your team does it? All right. So let's talk about money mastery. All right. Money mastery is all about budgeting and reporting. It is about, in fact, mastery is about budgeting and reporting. Okay. So let's talk. You've got to break even or else. All right. So most people think about, well, if I sell something for $100 and it cost 50 to make, well, then I made $50. Well, yeah, you made what we call gross profit, $50. But if your expenses are, but we don't know if you covered your fixed cost or not. So you've got fixed cost. When this, in this example, are 500,000. Okay, 500,000 per. This is per. It's just constant. A fixed cost is something that's going to be there: a telephone bill, a rent, something. Maybe wages that you have to pay people, whether you open the door or not. Now, as you produce something, in that example I had, you sell 150, then you have a variable cost. So as you sell something, there are costs associated with selling it. So that's generally materials or maybe some labor that goes in to build it, or commissions or things like that. That'll go up. So what happens is you have to sell. You think, well, okay, it cost me 500 to be open. Well, no. You have to sell, in this example, almost, like $1.3 million to hit break even, because this is your break even right here. It is way past your 500,000. So your profit is this part in here. Okay, so we have to sell for quite some time. Now you have to break even or else. If you don't break even, if you're not making if you can't get to break even, then we need maybe to shut up shop. All right. So the profit is here. And what we want to do ultimately is get to this point over to the far right, which we call maximum utilization. That's the point. Now, the best example of maximum utilization is, if you've ever been into a salon or a barbershop, which none of us have been into lately, but let's say you go in there, imagine all the chairs will be full. That'll be at maximum utilization. A lot of times we'll go in there and there'll be 5 chairs and 2 of them will be empty. Well, there's no way we could do 100% capacity. We can only do 60% capacity. We're not at maximum utilization. So the goal is not to just break even. The goal is to make a profit. So we have something called a profit break even that I work with my clients on. And then the ultimate goal is to get to maximum utilization. So other things to consider in money mastery are, do you get your financial statements on time? And when by on time, I mean by the 15th of the month following or quicker. And do you know what to do with them? Do you know how to make decisions using them? What is your KPIs, your key performance indicators, your metrics? What are the things you need to be tracking? Are we on top of, what is your productivity levels? Your gross profit per hour. There's a lot of things that go into money mastery, and we'll help you work through those things. So let's get on to time mastery. All right. And time mastery, it's really self-mastery. So we have to look at the tasks that we're doing. So when we look at them, and this comes straight out of Stephen Covey, I like to give credit where credit is due. He had a box, but we do a target. So not urgent and not important. Okay. You have tasks that you do that are not urgent and not important. Now, what are things like that? Well, unless you're in the Facebook ads business, probably getting on Facebook. I got sucked in yesterday for about 20 minutes and I realized, holy cow, I can't believe I spent this much time. I was in the state called distraction. All right. I was distracted. All right. Now, the next level up is urgent and not important. Now, what kind of things would be urgent or not important? Well, generally, they're things that are urgent to somebody else and not to you. Or maybe some, problem that your employees created for you. All right. That's generally what it is, chasing a fire around. All right. That's a state of delusion because you feel like it's busy because it's urgent, but you're not really accomplishing anything. So you're in a state of delusion. So how many of you have ever had a day where you spent the entire day running around, you had a busy day, you went home and you said, God, I was busy today. I didn't get a thing done. If you have a day like that, you spent the whole day in delusion or distraction. Okay. So let's move to the next, which is urgent and important. These are the things you need to do in your business. This is taking care of your customers, delivering your products, the things you need to do. That's called being in demand. And then in the middle is not urgent, but important. This is called the zone. And what are things in there? That's things like this, like learning. This is like getting better, working on yourself, planning, These are things in the zone. Now, what I find is most of my businesses, when I first get into them, they're spending 80% of their time in delusion and distraction. We want to fix that. We want to flip that, where we spend 80% in demand or the zone, and then we move out of delusion and distraction. And we're never going to get 100% out of that. We're human. It's easy. We like to be distracted. Okay. We like to be deluded a little bit, feel important. All right. But we can move more of our stuff into the things that matter. So what we'll do with you when you come work with us is we're going to look at the number. We're going to take a look at where you're spending your time now, and then we're going to look at where you should be spending your time. And we're going to work towards that, where we can be working on the business more. Delivering consistency. Can you, this essentially is, most people have this down if they've stayed in business, because it's not good enough just to do some level of customer service. Most people have to be pretty good. But here's the deal. What I've found is in most small businesses, the owner is great at this, but not necessarily all their team. So we got to get basic systems in there to take care of it. Now we're going to move to niche, where we get a commercial profitable enterprise. This is where we get a problem. Now, what's the definition of a niche? Definition is no price competition. Wouldn't that be nice? Okay. Well, there are ways. Let's talk about how to do it. So the first thing is we don't want to be a commodity, which means we got to be coming up with new. So we got to be innovating all the time. The cool thing about a crisis like this is, boy, does it breed innovation. People have come up with all kinds of stuff. Face mask. I mean, no one had a face mask except the medical profession early on. Early adopters now we got face masks that are embroidered with logos, because now we're innovating that. So we've got to create a niche, unique selling proposition. What makes you different? Okay. And a guarantee. Now, one of the best ones of these I ever heard was a scales company. They came in, they sold the scales, and then they maintained them. They calibrated them, and they did it on bids, and they mostly sold into the medical profession. So they had these scales, and they were on every floor in the hospital, and every nurse's station. They had scales, and they'd come around and they'd calibrate them, and they'd put a candy bar on there, and they'd leave a note, and it'd say, hey, your scale is calibrated. As you can see, you got exactly 8 ounces of chocolate bar there. Have a great day. Well, the guy who sold the scales came into the hospital purchasing people and said, isn't it about time we redo the sales deal? And they're like, yeah, you got it. And they're like, what do you mean? Well, we're not going to do a bid. And he said, what do you mean? He said, well, you got it. He said, well, what do you mean? I can't take the candy bars away from the nurses. So you got the business. The unique selling proposition maybe not got them the business, but it helped them to keep the business. Okay. So what makes you different? Now, this is Tom Malayzik. He had this is old school, and I'm going to go into it because it's a nice ad. I just want to show you some things you can do with an ad. But here's what he did. He got 4 sales, 14,000 compared to no sales with an ad. This is an old Yellow Pages ad. I know Yellow Pages is not a thing, but the concepts, it's easier to look at a print ad and give you some concepts rather than a digital ad. So this was the old ad. I'm sure you've seen some digital equivalents. Now, all you would ask him is, what's the price, right? If you came in there. Now, so we clean up the ad, we make it look good, and we start asking questions. Hey, look, we educate them. What are the things you should be asking? And guess what? We're good at all 5 of these things. We're good at giving it all money. We're good at guarantee. We take responsibility. We write good content, right? This is what we do, and this is where you can go. So you want to get, so this is an old school ad, but this is the difference between, how to make it. Now, the other ad, let me go back to it. The other ad just had, didn't even, just couldn't even read it. It had terrible, it's called custom, had their name on it. Who cares? It's just, they want to know, how do you solve my problems? He's got a nice clean ad. He's got a call to action, good headline, good color, picture of him. It's all good. Makes you feel good about buying from those guys. And he got 14,400 in 6 weeks. So this is a way that you can use. This is kind of thing that you can use to create great ads. The way you create ads is you measure and test. You try something, You get the results, then you test something else. Okay. You measure it again. If it gets better, you keep tweaking it. You tweak it little by little by little. You don't send out 10,000 letters. You send out 100 letters and then 1,000 and then 10,000. You test it. All right. So this is where we're going to get into it. This is called the business chassis. Now, many of you know that the automobile industry does this all the time. They use the same chassis for different vehicles. Now, in this case, this is an Audi R8 on the Volkswagen chassis. The original Porsche was built on a Volkswagen chassis. The Karmann Ghia chassis, you know, for a long time, Jaguars were built on a Ford chassis. Listen, they do it all the time. This is the way it is in business. What I know about business is there's two things. Number one, all businesses are the same and all businesses are different. It's like epoxy glue. We're going to talk to you today about the things where all businesses are the same. Now, every business is different because every business, so we're going to give you the general principles of growing a business today in this presentation. Now, all businesses are different because why? We're in different industries. We have different customers. We have different needs. We have different people. Now, what I'm going to do, and you'll see it later, but what we're doing right now is we're doing, 90-minute aspirational strategy sessions with anybody who wants it, who's in business, because we want to help people do, and there's no strings. You don't have to buy anything. Now, I'm going to make an offer at the end of this, but you don't have to buy anything. We'll sit down with you. We're out helping as many people as we can grow the business and come out of this restart ready to rock and roll. I mean, I've done this presentation for 6 straight weeks, and every week it's been different. I'm looking forward to next week and how it's going to be better, different, all those kind of things. So anyway, let's talk about the chassis. Let's talk about how everybody's the same. So let's get the formula. Here's the formula. The formula is, just so you might want to write this down, number of leads times conversion rate equals your number of customers, times your number of transactions, times your average dollar sale equals your revenue, times your profit margins equals your profit. So what does this mean? Let me put in some numbers and show you. Let's say in a business you get 4,000 leads a year. Okay, that's a little over one a day, not that many, a couple a day, and but we're not going to convert all those to customers. In this thing, we're going to say 25%. Okay, that's going to be so 1 in 4 is going to buy, and so we're going to have 1,000 customers. Now, let's say we can get them back once per year on average. So we can get them back. We'll get them back. So we'll get them back once. So they'll buy twice a year, and they'll buy $100 when they buy. All right. The average dollar sale. So let's just say they buy $100. Okay. That's when we multiply that out, we're going to get revenue of 200,000. And let's say we're a service-based business. We're going to keep 25%. So we're going to make 50,000 on 200 in sales. Really nice, good business to have, right? All right. So let's talk about how do we improve it? How many ways are we going to improve it? Well, we're going to improve it with what's called the 5 ways. All right. So there are 5 ways to improve it. So let's go into it. So what we're looking for is a 10% increase. I'm not talking about 100% increase in any area. We've had that before, and I'll tell you some examples as we go through it. But let's talk about how would we get number of leads? Well, we already talked about, being targeted, having a unique selling proposition, targeting better, running advertisements, host beneficiary, strategic alliances. Let me give you the best strategic alliance or host beneficiary example that I've done over the years. So I had a client who was in the window cleaning business, and so we cleaned windows in 6, large houses. And who made the decision in that house? Well, the woman of the house. Because why? Because men don't care if their windows are clean. So now, we said, all right, where do they spend money? Where else do they write checks to? And it was, the lawn people, the pool people, the dry cleaner, the drugstore, the grocery store. That's the places that we wrote checks to, the country club. Finally, we hit on this idea of day spas. The woman of the house liked to take care of herself, liked to go get the massages, liked to get the rock treatments. take care of themselves. So we went down to a spa, day spa person that we knew who owned a day spa, friend of ours. And we said, do you have a list of your best customers? She said, oh yeah, I divide them up. I got platinum, gold, silver. So what do the best of the best get? The platinum. She said, well, they get a coffee cup with their name on it and a robe with their name embroidered on it. And they get, a certain number of treatments. And I said, well, about how many are on that list? She said, oh, about 50. I said, great. What about if we mail your Christmas cards for you? We'll buy them. You pick them out. We'll buy them. We don't need to know your list. You mail them, or you print labels and we'll put them on. We'll mail them. All we ask is that you be allowed to give a gift. And they're like, well, yeah, why wouldn't I do that? We said, yeah. So the gift is we're going to put a coupon in there that says, thanks for being a great customer. We want to be more than your spa. Here is a window cleaning from our people at ABC Window Cleaning. And here's $25 off. I said, great. All right. So each card cost us about $5. So that's $250. We did it. Now we wanted to mail them out before Thanksgiving because every woman wanted to have a Christmas party around Christmas, and they wanted their windows to be clean. They wanted everything to be clean, but the windows was one of the things. And so we went and said, all right, so we mailed them out. Now, if you know anything about direct mail, you know that a 1%, maybe 2%, 3% would be a good return. Well, we got 19 out of 50. We sold 11 at an average dollar sale of about $7.85. And any of those who are quick at math will know that $500 investment got us over an $8,000 return. That's a pretty good marketing. And that's how you test and measure marketing. All right, so we're going to get that up 10%. Now we're not going to get conversion rate to 35%. We're getting an improvement of 10%, 27.5%. I can tell you, if you're measuring conversion rate, excellent. If you're not, you will get the bump on its own. You will get 10% improvement. But we'll do things with convert. By the way, we have 350 different strategies around all of these transactions. We've got I think it's 56 on conversion rate. But what is your sales process? What is your sales collateral? Training. Just did a sales training last week. Excellent thing. That's another thing we can do for you. We can do some sales training where you'll close more business on overcoming objections. Tons of things we can do, but we'll get that up by at least 10%. Okay. In fact, I'm going to show you a slide in a little while. We got it up by 8%. So 1,210. So we're going to get 4,400 times 27.5%. It's 1,210 new clients, customers, patients, whatever you call them. Now, how do we get 1 in 10 back? Well, we asked them. We in the same window cleaning business, the way we did it was we booked them in for the next 6 months. We said, all right, we're going to get you down. We'll go ahead and book you for the next 6 months. I did it with an optometrist. Same thing. We just started booking them for their next appointment before they left. We did it. We did yearly deals. We got people back. There's McDonald's. How do they do it? They do it with the game, with the Monopoly game. Okay. So we're going to get 1 in 10 back. Now we got to get the average dollar sell up by 1 in 10. Now, what's the easiest way to do that? You can raise your prices. Now, you might not be raising your prices right now, but there are other ways to get your average dollar sell up. You can bundle packages. You can do upsells, cross sells, down sells, side sells. You can get better vendors. You can carry better merchandise. You can, there's tons of ways to do it. Okay. So, and once I said, there's about 80 ways to get the average dollar sell up. So we're going to get revenues up 10%, right? No, we're going to get it up 292,820, which is actually 46%. Now, how do we get our profit margins up? By the way, if you raise your prices, you will get the profit margin and the average dollar sell up. It is a very powerful strategy. There are also ways. I know I just went back through during this crisis, went through all my bills and said, what am I paying that I don't need to? Or what subscriptions do I get, $5 here, or $50 there, $200 there? I can do it. I mean, I had a phone bill that I was double paying for, and I just cut it in half. I mean, there's all kinds of things we can do to get our profit margins up. So we're only going to get 2.5% more on our profit margin. That's going to get us to $80,525.50. That's a 46% increase and a 61% increase in your profits. And it's 30,000. So what would you do with 30,000, 525, 50? You know, maybe you would pay off a loan. Maybe you would get it back. Maybe you'd go on a vacation. You know, I think people are itching to go. Now, what would you do with an extra 300 hours that you're going to get from your time mastery? That's even more valuable than the money. The video is not going to play. All right, it's embedded in my other one. All right, that was Brian. Okay, and Brian, this is what I meant to tell you. Brian came out of 2009, contacted me, came to one seminar like this, and said, you know, came on board and coached him. Okay, well, since 2009, his business is up 1,100%. Okay, it's up over 100% a year on average. There was one year where we went down a little bit, but for the most part, for the last, we call it 11 years, he's been up over 100% a year. And that's just by doing some simple things in coaching. So it works. Here's a conversion rate. Here's Joe. Joe's actually a roofer, okay, but he does volunteer fireworks. So I like to show his volunteer fire picture. They were getting a ton of leads, but they were wasting them. The conversion was less than 20% with some sales training, multiple steps, had follow-up systems. We got his conversion rate up to 33%. If you can do some quick math, what kind of an increase would that be? It's huge, okay? So we systemized the sales product. We did some training, so we quit wasting the leads. All right, here's what Warren Buffett says. Look, it's not necessary to do extraordinary things to get extraordinary results. All right, let's move on to leverage, which is where we get the business, commercial profit enterprise. That works. We get the business working. Now, leverage is about systems, which is it stands for saving yourself time, energy, and money. There's 9 key areas to systems that are all outlined in our book, Instant Systems. First of all, you got to have a vision statement. You need a mission statement. You need a culture statement. Now, this is big. Culture is huge. If you haven't defined your culture, then someone else will. I don't know if it'll be your employees, your clients, but someone else will, because you have a culture. It just may not be defined. SMART goals, that stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, in a time frame. Are your goals SMART? Do you even have goals? Org chart, roles and responsibilities, which gives you your positional contracts. You got to have your metrics. We call them key performance indicators. The 5 ways might be your key performance indicators. You got to have KPIs, and then you got to have how-to systems. That's your manuals on how to, like if you have a franchise, you'll get a manual. This is your how-to system. And then you got management systems is your last thing. This is your dashboard where you can be in Fiji or somewhere running your business. Then we get to the team level, where we get a profitable commercial enterprise that works without you. You know, most employees are motivated, energetic, committed, and loyal, except for the 8 hours they work for you. That's what Tom Peters says. He had wrote some great books, a good thinker. So listen, I'll help you build your team. Here's the deal. Most of us get it wrong. The owner runs around, takes care of the business. The owner runs around, takes care of the customers. The owner runs around, takes care of the team. That's not the way it's supposed to work. The way it's supposed to work is the owner takes care of the team takes care of the customers take care of the business, and then the business takes care of the owner. Now, let me say, how does the owner take care of the team? Well, he provides them with positional descriptions, org charts, pay, benefits, training, but it's on people development. As the team gets better, the customers gets better. As the customers get better, the business gets better. As the business gets better, the owners benefits more. And then the circle just gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. It is an awesome model. But as an owner, we've got to move our focus onto the team, taking care of the team. I had a client last week that said, you know, I'm spending more and more of my time working with the team. I'm like, yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. So what are the 6 keys to winning team? Number 1, you got to have strong leadership. Okay. You got it. You know, that's one thing we always work on with clients is creating that strong. We need a common goal. We got to get behind something, and it can't be like, I just want, as an owner, more time and more money. It's got to be a common goal. What are we trying to achieve? You know, right now, maybe it just be survival in some cases, but moving on, it's going to be, where do we want to thrive? What is the goal that we want to create? You know, I had a, I had a goal the other day. A guy he just wanted to develop 50 people. I mean, it's awesome. I heard about a guy who wanted to make, 50 millionaires in a year. I mean, whatever. What is your goal that everybody in the business can buy into? Rules of the game. Now, this is your culture. Okay. So we got to properly define the rules of the game, the culture. Yes, it's what time do you come in, but it's more about the culture. It's more about decision making, allowing them to make decisions. Action plan. If they know the culture, they can support the risk taking. They can make best decisions. Action plan. We got to have a plan, which is who does what by when. If you don't have a plan, it isn't updated. You need a new 90-day plan now. Okay. Contact me. I'll help you through it. You need a new 90-day plan. All right. Support risk taking. That's crawl before you walk before you run. We got to be in a business where we got to let people make mistakes. If a baby starts walking and falls down, you don't say, "Oh, stay down." No, you take the risk to get back up again. Keep falling. That's what we mean by that. 100% involvement inclusion. As an owner, it's 100% your job to include everybody, but it's their job to be involved. So it's about getting the right people on the right seat on the right bus. Sometimes people need to get off a bus. We've got a unique opportunity right now. It's pretty easy. If there's somebody who's on the wrong bus, don't hire them back. Now, our hiring systems. Yeah, I just worked with Dan. We helped him find the next guy. He never had hired anybody. We helped him find his first employee, and then we helped him find his next employee. But yeah, it's been awesome. We set up a system. It works well. Here's what he says. Now we're going to get systems. That's where we're going to get a general manager. Okay, we put the business on autopilot. Richard says, hey, if you can run one business, you can run multiple of them. The principles are all the same. Jim Rohn says, never wish your life were easier. Wish you were better. And work harder on yourself than you do on your job. I mean, he was a business philosopher, a great guy. If you haven't read any of his stuff or don't have any of his tapes or CDs, get them. He's awesome. Okay. Brad says, he quoted Charlie Tremendous Jones for the first part of this, where you'll be in 5 years will depend on the books you read, the people you associate with. And then he added, and the actions you take. So it's about time to take actions. Look, there's two directions you can go. You can say, hey, I'm all right. I got what I need from this. This shows me the path. I'm good. I'm going to improve everything on my own. Or I'm interested in getting really massive results in my business. What are my options? I would really like to have somebody outside help me through this. Listen, Coach is the business apprenticeship where we grow your existing business so that it pays for your investment in your business coaching and your education. And you get to keep the knowledge forever. So it's free knowledge. So if you're a business owner, you're doing pretty well, you got a good team, you're growing, you're committed, most of you are going to want to go to one-to-one coaching. It's generally over the phone or Zoom these days. It's for more established specialists. It's actually for business. It really is to have the right mindset. If you want personalized business and you're serious about growing your business, you can bring on a coach for less than an executive assistant. You can get executive level help for less than executive assistant. It's going to be very reasonable price. Okay. We've got things all the way from $500 all the way up to $1 million a year. Okay. So, but I want to talk to you about our group that we're getting going. Okay. Here's what's involved in the Epic, what this is. I'll go into what all it's included. So the first thing is we got to start you out. We got to find out a little bit about and get a bit of a plan for you. So you're coming to come out and just spend 5 hours with me. That might be at my house. More likely it's going to be on Zoom these days for a while, but we're going to spend 5 hours getting straight, getting you aligned with your goals, getting me aligned with your goals. So we get it. Now, we got something every single month, a full day. We got 4 Growth Club planning days, massive action planning days. So that's a $2,000 value. Now, these are amazing. We've been doing these for years. We come in once a quarter. We get all our clients together in a room and we plan the next quarter. That's why we have so much success, because we plan where we want to go. All right. Now, there's going to be 6 mastermind coaching days. Yeah. All right. Now, what that is 6 times we're going to get together and we're going to work together to help each other out. We're going to do mini plans for the month, and then we're going to help each other out. You're also going to get a BizX ticket. So one of those months, we're going to do 2 days. This year it was in Nashville. Next year it's in Las Vegas. We're going to get together with hundreds of business owners and hundreds of other coaches. And it's cool because in small business, we don't get this. We get sort of 8 to 10 nationally recognized, awesome speakers to come in and teach us about business. It's very cool. All right. It's $1,500 for the ticket. And the 12th thing is a leadership 2-day retreat somewhere. You can bring your family. We're going to have lots of fun. We're also going to do some work. All right. It's a total of $16,500. Listen, this is what my client Eric said. He said they're giving away $10,000 here every 10 minutes. And he committed right then and there to bring his general manager and his other employees to come to every BizX. It used to be called BEF. Okay. That's what he's been doing. He's been bringing 4 and 5 people every single year to BizX. Okay, so we got the 5 hours. We got the quarterly growth club. We got the mastermind coaching days. We got the BizX ticket. We got the leadership ticket. We got the bonus one. You're going to get the disc and back assessment for yourself, $200. Okay, so we're going to add $200 to that, free. Now you're going to get, now you can be in one. Remember when I said below the point, you can either keep making excuses about why you can't, or you can earn $37 for every dollar you invest in yourself. That's what Brian Tracy worked it out. He said he worked it out. And on average, the person who invests $1 in themselves makes $37 back. I mean, that's impressive. I don't know where else you can get a 37-to-1 return. So you get the 5 hours with me. You get the quarterly growth club, massive action planning days. You get the mastermind coaching days. You get the BizX ticket. You get the leadership 2-day retreat, and you get the distant vac assessment. And here's the cool thing. You can call me whenever you want. You get the 6 emergency phone sessions with me. It's $3,000 value. All right. So would this be a good deal if you just got one great idea? Yes, it would. Would it be a good deal if you got 1 hour a day or more of things? Yes, it would. Would it be a good deal if you just hired one rock star team member? So would it be unreasonable for me to ask you to go ahead and get started? So let me go over it one more time. 5 hours with Bill, $2,500. Quarterly growth club planning days, $2,000. Mastermind coaching days, the BizX ticket, the leadership, the bonus number 1, the disc vac, the emergency get out of jail free assessment. And then this is the kicker. This is amazing. The unlimited access to all the Action Coach videos. There are thousands of hours of business instruction. You can access them whenever you want. That's a total of $24,700. Normal investment is $10,000 or $995 a month. Look, if you want to get in, if you're an early adopter, an innovator, $49.95 one time or monthly for $550. All you want to do is hit me up in the thing, in the chat and say, "Yep, Bill, I'm interested." Now, if you're not sure, listen, you got to understand that no matter how tough you think you are, you can't do this stuff on your own. It's invaluable to have somebody outside. And you got to understand that 12 months from today is coming. Question is, where are you going to be? So if you're feeling a little bit fear, excitement, you're making a great decision. Come on and get signed up. There's a couple getting signed up now. Awesome. Now, look, if you're just not sure, sign up for the 90-minute business assessment with me, the aspirational business session. We'll talk about where you are, where you want to go. We'll talk about what's in between. We'll get you a mini plan, and then, we'll get you started on whatever program makes sense for you. So if that's the case, reach out to me. William Gilliland at actioncoach.com, 828-348-1787. Email me, text me. I'm on all the social media. It's time to get into action. So thank you. Let me check and see if there's any questions. You may put anything in the question and answer. Haven't seen any yet. If there's any questions, just put them in. That would be awesome, or the chat. Not seeing any right now. Got a couple. All right. Well, good. Well, I hope you have a fantastic rest of the week and weekend. Enjoy your Memorial Day. I hope this has been valuable. If you could just potentially give me some feedback in there. I would love to hear it. What could be done better? What could be done better? What would be useful? Using the webinar format's new. We've been doing it for years, but I prefer the live. But you know, this is what we got now. Anyway, look forward to seeing you. I hope you have a fantastic Memorial Day, and until next time, all the best.